All right, here with Wolves graduate Cam Johnson joining us. Cam, thanks so much for taking some time out.
Thank you.
Cam, how's this been? What's this been like the eve of your first game in the NBA? Obviously, it's preseason, but an exciting time, no question.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a little bit different of a game than it has been before. It works a little differently, and dynamics are a little different, but overall, it's been pretty good so far, and I'm looking to get the season underway. 82 games, no joke. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, are you ready from the physical standpoint of obviously this is going to be the longest basketball season you've ever had to endure? How are you ready to handle that from a mental and a physical standpoint?
I guess I'll figure that out in a couple of months. But one thing everybody kind of tells us rookies is that there's a thing called the rookie wall. You generally hit it somewhere around January, February, and that's just when you get like the 40-game mark, and everything's like, wow, we got 42 more to go, and it's going to be a long, long time. But I think right now I'm in a good position to handle it, but, my answer might change in a couple of months. We'll see.
What's it like being out of the desert now, leaving, Pittsburgh? It's starting to get a little bit cooler now. It's sweatshirt weather, not so much out there in the desert. How's that now?
It's been good. The dry heat, I will say, is so much better than being in humidity. But I looked at my thermometer in my car to see how hot it was today. Today is October 7th, and it read 100 degrees. So this weather is no joke out here, but it's starting to break now. It's starting to get a little cooler. When I first got out here, you could count on it being a solid 115 every day.
Yeah, so you're one of the believers that the dry heat is different from that humidity.
I am a complete believer in that. 100%.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I was just out there a couple months ago. I'm right with you. It 115 feels almost like 80 in
It's like a 90.
Florida.
It's like a 90. Yep, like a 90 in Florida.
Right,
yep.
Exactly. And it's more like you're walking through an oven, right?
Yes.
Well,
exactly.
let's rewind and go back, take you back, obviously, to when I first saw you back at Our Lady of the Sacred Heart High School, and even before then at Moon. Take me through just like you've had a lot of time. I think the last couple months to almost relive your journey, especially through the draft. But now that you've had a little bit of time and got your feet set in Phoenix, how does it feel to go and start where you did to end up where you are?
I just feel blessed, to be honest. When I first got to Olsh, I don't know how many people would have bet their money on me getting to this point, But I had a great experience at Olsh, a great experience at Pitt, at North Carolina, and I hope that the same rings true for the Suns. But I've just been fortunate with the people around me, the people that have supported me throughout the journey. And a lot of it, wouldn't be possible without the necessary steps of being at Olsh and everything in between.
Cam, you brought up your last high school game on senior night at North Carolina as one of the instrumental parts in an important moment for you. Why was that, and why does that resonate with you? Obviously, being a loss, but why does it resonate with you even all these years later that you could still go back and kind of circle that as a moment for you?
Oh man, it hurts every time I think about it. I mean, I'm about to play an NBA game tomorrow, and if I think about that game for more than 25 seconds, I get a headache and I get real angry. It was important to me at the time just because I thought we had a really special group that year, and it was very unfortunate that it had to end that way. This is a tough way to go out. I to be honest, I'll be completely upfront with this. I really cannot stand North Catholic. Anytime I hear the name North Catholic, I don't care if they're referring to Catholic North, I get upset. So it's something that'll always bother me. But like I said on my senior night speech, it was just a necessary part of what I had to go through. I hate that my teammates and I had to experience that loss. But, I texted them after the game. I remember seeing a text saying that, we're always going to have competitive adversity. We're always going to have to face some things in life. It's just a matter of kind of how we did and how we come. And, for me at that point, I didn't know where my future was going to go. I didn't decide on a college yet. I had a bunch of them coming to look at me throughout the playoffs. The playoffs ended way earlier than I thought they would, so I didn't know where I would end up. But everything worked out. Everything worked out pretty well.
Well, did you ever have a feeling of, well, I'm going to have to go there and hope that it works out for me and maybe I'll be able to transfer and go somewhere else, maybe to a bigger school? Was that starting to be your mindset, or were you still in the belief that someone was going to come along like Pitt did towards the end and give you an opportunity?
I wasn't really too worried about that at the time because at that moment I would probably, if nothing new would have popped up, I probably just would have went to prep school. And at that time, I did have schools that were offering me scholarships if I were to go into the 2015 class, which would require me to do a year of prep. So I didn't really have a plan like that. Before my senior year of high school, I was very close to committing to the University of Toledo. And I didn't have a plan to go there and transfer higher. If I went there, I just would have kind of enjoyed my experience there and tried to make the most of it. I had no intentions of transferring from Pittsburgh. It's just kind of the situation that popped up, the coaching change, the complete roster change, the fact that we're rebuilding kind of, and the fact that I didn't have to sit out a year just kind of led me to transfer. But like I said, it's crazy. It took a lot of fortune and a lot of kind of God's work, to be honest, to get me to this point. But it's been a lot of fun.
Your maturation process from, they refer to you as far as the so-called experts as being a late bloomer, and your maturation process from being and playing at Olsh, then going to Pitt and knocking down some pretty important threes at North Carolina that help you get to North Carolina. Like how much of a feeling of a change did you have from playing high school basketball in the WPIAL to playing at Pitt to then playing at UNC?
When I left Olsh, so I was in high school on a Friday, and then Monday of the next week I was in college in my college workouts. And the competition level between single A, WPIAL, and ACC is a pretty extreme jump. So I was kind of thrown into the fire pretty quickly there, and I kind of just had to learn a lot of, it was tough. It was a grind every day where I sat in my locker for 45 minutes before every practice trying to get myself mentally prepared because, honestly, I had to just kind of go out there and fight every day. So that was just something that I had to get over in that transition, in that kind of maturity process. That was just something that I had to get through, was just pushing through, like, that initial difficult first phase. And then after that, I sat out most of my first year with shoulder surgery. But after that, I just got really comfortable at that level. And then going to Carolina, it's annoying to have to go to a situation when you are the veteran on a team to kind of go to a new situation and be the new player and kind of feel like a freshman, not really knowing where anything is around the town or knowing people. But that was just like like you said, another step in the maturity process. And then obviously now in the NBA, it's a little bit different of a beast, whereas the dynamic is just different. I mean, when you look at it, your teammates are your teammates, right? But, everybody, kind of their livelihood is on the line, so everybody has to perform. Everybody has to, play well or you could be cut, traded, released in an instant. So it's a little bit different of a dynamic. There's a lot of guys, and everybody's extremely talented. But, I really like my organization so far, and everybody's pretty good.
How much do you credit Pitt Jamie Dixon for where you are now, looking back now that you can?
I might give Coach Dixon a lot of credit because one thing that I think he's a great coach, first of all, in terms of X's and O's. I really always thought he knows his stuff. Defensively, offensively, he just taught things pretty well. But I think there's a level of toughness that he required me to have early on in my career that kind of gave me an initial boost that I kind of used to carry me throughout college, where that, I established this baseline of kind of grit that I needed to get through those years. And that, like I said, those first couple weeks at Pitt were not easy. I got beat up every day, and if I wasn't fighting back, he cursed me out up and down the court, and he called me names that I don't care to repeat. But he always saw potential in me. The last thing he said to me when he was leaving for TCU was that he expected to see me in the NBA, and if I didn't, that he'd have an issue with that. So he kind of put a little bit of pressure on me at that time to make it there, but the fact that he always believed in me to get to that point was important, especially.
Do you consider yourself a Panther and a Tar Heel? How do you view that? I mean, you're a graduate of both universities. Obviously, there was a contingent of Pitt fans that felt a different way, but
right.
The reality is you're a graduate of both universities.
So this is like a question that is tough, and it's tough for people to understand. It's like people don't really understand that you can have, an affinity for multiple schools. And I hold Pitt near and dear to my heart. I love my time there. It's very close to my family. My older brother still works there, and I was where I first went to college, a special place. North Carolina was extremely special to me, and all the experiences I had there were just incredible. So, I mean, I'm a graduate of both, and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud to say that I'm Pitt Panther. I'm proud to say that I'm North Carolina Tar Heel. And I thank the Tar Heel fans for taking me in, and I thank the Panther fans who supported me in my time there and in my decision to leave. And I just really like to claim both, because both of them are important.
How hard was that with the NCAA and you fighting to have to sit out or to not sit out, and that decision process? It just seemed from an outside perspective like it was a lot harder than maybe that one would be led to believe.
It was difficult because I really one reason it was difficult was that I did not want to drag Pitt through the mud in the process. So I really just wanted to kind of do what was best for my future and not have any mud thrown either way. Unfortunately, it looked like I was really trying to go after them, but to fight your university and to argue against people in meeting rooms in front of administrators that I had built close relationships with over 3 years prior was just difficult. And to make the decision to leave the university in the first place was difficult. So when I got that phone call that I was free to play both my years at Carolina, that was the biggest feeling of relief that I've probably ever had.
No question. Well, a lot of people talk about your relationship with your dad and obviously the history there. I want to know what Mom says about it all. I think, to see a son make it to the NBA has to be a pretty special moment. What does she have to say about your success and making it to the level that you have?
I think she's enjoyed it, to be honest. There's a lot of times now where he kind of just sits back a little bit more than he used to and kind of just enjoys what's going on. And I mean, I was so happy I got to spend the draft night with all my family and friends. And I know they all have had my back for so long. And everything that my dad and my mom have done for me over the past 23 years of my life, they really put everything into putting me in a situation to be, where I am today. So I can't thank them enough. and I don't think I ever will be able to repay them. But, wherever I can take them and wherever I can take my professional career will be my best effort to repay them for everything they've done.
Cam, since you got drafted, how many players or how many people have come up to you and said that they played against you? It feels like Pittsburgh got about 4 million more people than actually did play in the WPIAL. It seems like everyone played against you now that you've been drafted.
It's funny, right? I've got some of that, but the funny thing is I get more of that from other people telling me that other people have come up to them and told them things, whether it's friends or family, like cousins, brothers. People are more likely to go up to them and say something than they are to actually come up to me and say something, which is funny. I don't know why, but sometimes, especially around Pittsburgh, I don't get bugged too much when I go places. Like, maybe a little bit here and there, but when I'm in Chapel Hill, like I can't go anywhere without having to talk to people. But that's just kind of how they are down there. They're very outgoing and friendly. And I'm pretty obscure down here in Phoenix too, which is nice. But like I said, people don't really come up to me with that. Oh, I play against you here and there and there. They're more likely to do it to the people that are kind of close to me.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, what is your expectation on the season? We were just looking through Twitter here now and seeing that opportunities with the ones is your intention to make your way into the starting lineup this year?
Yeah, that's everybody's intention. Right now, some of my teammates are a little banged up, so I'm doing everything I can to secure as much playing time and as much trust from the coaches that I can. But in terms of goals, I haven't really laid anything out like that. I just want to improve, learn the game more, learn what my coaches want from me and kind of how this sort of level works, and then be the best version of myself I can be. And I know that sounds like a cliche, like one-ish answer, but that's honestly how I feel, and that's kind of how I approach every day.
You're obviously a Pittsburgh guy, and Pittsburgh is very proud of what you've been able to do, but even more locally, a Moon Township guy. And does it sink in as far as what the community is doing? There hasn't been many professional athletes that come out of the township, the 1-5-108, but the ones that have been pretty special, and now that you could be added to that list.
It's a big time honor to be on that list. The other big time professional athlete from Moon Township right now is just down the street from me with the Cardinals, AQ. There hasn't been many from many NBA players from the Pittsburgh area, but we're looking to change that. I think we've got a lot of up and coming talent in the area, and I'm gonna do everything that I can in my power to kind of create a better environment for basketball players in Moon, in the city of Pittsburgh, to kind of AAU programs, and they just kind of showcase their talent and be out there, because we do have a lot of very talented athletes, and I know they're all over the place in the football world. Western PA is really heavily represented in the NFL, but we're going to try to make the same with basketball too. So just to be on that, be mentioned in that group of guys is definitely on.
Do you think that there's some Cameron Johnsons in the WPIL that it just doesn't align the right way? They don't get that chance, they don't get that opportunity for whatever reason, whether it's self-inflicted or otherwise, that Pittsburgh high school basketball doesn't get as much attention, especially on a national level in comparison to other parts of the country. So do you feel like that there are some diamonds in the rough, if you will?
Well, I think around the country in general, there's a lot of talented guys that just get kind of fall through the cracks, and it's sad to see, but that just makes me feel a little bit, even a little bit more blessed to be in the position I'm in. That there's millions of guys in the world that have extreme talent, but there's only 450 people in the NBA. So in the Western PA, I'm sure there's plenty of guys throughout the years that just luck kind of didn't go in their direction, or the exposure didn't go in their direction, whatever it may be. But there's plenty of guys that have a lot of talent to do things that maybe not maybe didn't fully realize that. So, I would try to help anybody that I could from Western Pennsylvania, because I think we got a pretty good group of athletes in the area.
Is there anyone that you're looking forward to playing against that you grew up watching, you appreciate their game? Is there anyone like that?
No, I think it's the whole league. Just the whole 82-game circuit of playing against all these guys. It's been pretty special to me, and especially in my division. In our division in the West Coast, in the Western Conference, it's no joke. We have the Lakers with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and Steph Curry and the Warriors, and so there's not going to be any nights off in our world. But just to be able to compete in a conference like that, in a division like that, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Are you excited to be part of something that has to be, for the better imagination, be built from the ground up there, than as opposed to joining a team that's already been established and had a lot of success?
It's funny because in the beginning of the draft conversation, when I was going through my interviews and all that, I was mostly being targeted by the contenders, just because, a little bit later in the first round, somebody that kind of fills a need. So I was asked that question a lot in the interviews, and the way I see it now is that, everybody kind of wants to compete for a championship, but I have a lot of respect for my teammates and my coaching staff now. And it's a whole new coaching staff, new front office, and I really think the people that we have in place are really dedicated to winning, and really want to get things on the right track and get to the playoffs as early and as often as possible, and then big runs in it. And I just, the one thing you worry about when going to a team that hasn't won much is the culture, right? But the culture of our organization right now is at a pretty good point, and the way we compete in practice and the way the coaches kind of handle themselves and our team in general is been pretty good so far.
What's the one thing in your game that you feel like you have needed to work on, have worked on in the off season to take your game to the next level the way that you have? Like, there's no denying what stats have proved, but what's something, if there is anything, that you felt like you wanted to work on going into this season?
I'll just say everything. One thing that I never stop working on is shooting the ball, because that is usually my way onto the court. And, if I'm not doing that, then I'm not really doing my job. But just playing with the ball in my hands, working on defensive things, and just understanding kind of what our offense is and where my baskets will come from. So that's really a big part of the game that not many people really realize, that you got to understand when and where you're supposed to be in certain places on the court. But I'm working on it all, and kind of working on it all day in and day out. And my trainers down in Miami, my coaching staff here in Phoenix, have really put me on a good developmental track.
I know you've talked about it a lot, but what was that moment like to hear your name? I know that there was some confusion as far as when you heard your name and exactly all of that, but what was that moment like for you? And as you mentioned, to spend it with friends and family in Moon?
It was unbelievable. There's really nothing like it. And I can't even really put it into words, because at the time I think I was passed out. And I thought I was pretty confident in the range I was going in, but I just was I didn't know it was going to be Phoenix tickets. So, it's funny because every time I watched the draft growing up, I always every single pick I watched, I imagine myself how cool would it be if they come out and announce my name, and to actually have that moment was just incredible. And to have that moment with a bunch of my family and friends around made it better.
I don't know if you know, but you are just one part of what was a pretty ridiculous year for Our Lady of the Sacred Heart High School in terms of athletics was concerned, winning both basketball, boys and girls championships, the championship in football, and then you adding icing on the cake and being drafted. the little bit of success that Olsh has had athletically as far as winning championships, and then for that to kind of all happen in the same year, how ridiculous is that?
It's crazy. It's just little Olsh, right? It's funny to us that have graduated now and see all that success. Football championship, girls and boys basketball success. Like, that's what you want to see out of your high school. And I'm proud of those men, those boys and girls who did that. But we've had some good athletes come through there, and we've had some good players come through there. And I know the school cares about winning, and I know the coaches that I've been around care about winning, and seem to be doing a good job of it. And I think, it's success that can be, sustained. And looking forward to seeing what happens in the future with them.
I know, as great as you were at on the basketball court, you were also very focused in the classroom. What would you be doing right now if you weren't about to play in your first NBA preseason game tomorrow?
That's a loaded question. And this is a conversation for another time, but I think the world of college athletics is a little funky, in that you don't really, the opportunity to get like the education that you would have got outside of basketball is not quite the same. So if I did not play basketball in college, I probably would have said something different. But if basketball just ended for me today, I would probably go right into college athletics and do something in that realm, whether, kind of be in administration or marketing or something, or coaching or something along those lines. That kind of lines up with my master's degree from Carolina. So that's what I would be doing now if the ball stopped bouncing today.
I know you said in the past about you did a thesis on college players and getting paid. California coming out with an opportunity there. Are you thinking that it's going to head in the right direction as opposed to not, as far as getting the players something and at least them being recognized for their name, image, and likeness, as they say?
I think it's kind of inevitable. This step, and it's a big time move by these governors and these people in power to kind of push the needle on this. But in terms of college athletes being compensated, I think the most logical step, and I wrote a paper on this 2 years ago, but the most logical step is to be paid on name, image, and likeness. So for this to actually happen, I'm like, well, it looks like things are really moving now. And a lot of these athletes are part of a business that generates a lot of money, and for steps to be made for them to kind of see a little portion of that is encouraging for a lot of us, athletes and younger athletes.
No question about it. Well, Cam, thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it. And
thank you,
both from all of us at Olsh and beyond here in Pittsburgh. Very proud of you, and we know that you're going to make us proud.
I appreciate you, man. Take it easy.
All right, Cam Johnson. If they, I don't know how old that announcer is, but when he's ready to give it up, I can make myself available.
I'll put in the word for you.
Cam, thanks for the time.
Thank you.